Greetings, fellow Americans. Susanna for President 2028. Welcome to the 2025 edition of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's Fireside Chats. We've had a major disaster in California, in LA County. That's the first thing we're going to start out with today. There's something off about these fires. And I was just watching a press update from the LA County government, including the emergency services and whatnot. So there is a little bit of new information regarding that. What I was going to say initially, and this actually is kind of playing along with what was said in the most recent press update. If you look at what was burned in these fires, trees, yes, of course. Some of the land, yes, of course. But the homes, and many of these homes had lawns and shrubbery that was not touched by the fire, by any fire. I'm not saying that every single home was this way, but there were a lot of homes that were. The structure burned down, but the rest of the land was good. It didn't get touched by the fire. There was even video of a truck that had been barely melted on the front side, but it had not otherwise been touched by the fire. It was still there, still running. We need to think about what we're using to build our houses. Now, in the press update that I was just watching, they were advising people who are deciding to go back into their residential areas to be very wary of the toxic chemicals that are still prevalent in the air and in the on the ground and such from the fires, from it burning. They are saying that in certain areas there is the high risk of asbestos exposure, different types of chemicals like that. There is a lithium battery plant that is currently being monitored and contained to make sure that the toxic lithium doesn't pollute anything else. So climate's definitely a factor here. This is obvious. The winds from this windstorm was outrageous, and that did not help. But it didn't help anything other than to fuel the fire. There is some disturbing trends, like they haven't had rain in 8 months. That was reported just in the last few days as well, especially regarding this area because of the fires. I don't think that the winds started the fires, though. There have been many times when we have gone through issues like this, high winds and storms, without fires starting. So I'm hoping that the investigation will reveal some insight into how these got started. At least one reporter has said that they could smell the chemicals in the air, so this is definitely polluted environment. They are recommending the N95 masks and another mask that I'm not familiar with for these areas. If you are going to go in, I do also recommend wearing a mask. We have to protect ourselves from these chemicals. If we're going to go into residential areas, then we need to protect ourselves. This is very important. I'm hoping that the investigations into these fires are swift. No guarantees. Often these take months, sometimes years, but hopefully we will have answers quickly. I'm really delighted to see that so many people have come together to help each other in this time, especially in that area. Um, I would like to thank actress Jennifer Garner for her part in helping as many people as she could in this, and also all the other folks who have helped with donations, with their volunteering their time, coming down to the areas where there's displaced individuals, and helping with food, bringing, everything that they could possibly bring that these people could need. Thank you for that. I think it's really great to see these types of events bring people together instead of so much more of the negativity that could go on. And it's not to say that there isn't any negativity, like looting, of course, and potential people who want to take advantage of the situation. Two people were just arrested at Vice President Kamala Harris's house there in the Palisades. So, trying to encourage people to come together instead of, taking advantage and doing things like looting and, basically causing more harm than good, is definitely going to definitely going to be difficult, but we can do it. I also have to say my condolences to Miss Garner and the loss of her friend. That's really hard. I know it is. And I also extend my condolences to the families of all of the other victims of this fire. So far, the count, I believe, is 14 or 16 that are confirmed deceased in this fire. Many are missing. Hopefully we can find those people quickly and safely, and hopefully they are brought back safely. All right, so I saw a video of a man who decided that he was going to stay there in the Palisades, if I'm not mistaken, and he waited out the fire. Now, what he did was an act of bravery, and it's dangerous. He could have lost his life, but I have to applaud this man for his bravery. He stayed behind. He turned on his hoses and he watered down his property. He watered down his house. He tried to water down the neighbors' homes, and he managed to save his home, to save his property, when so many others had been destroyed. This is actually a really good tactic to use to protect against wildfires such as this, even if we don't know the source. Because at that point, it doesn't really matter. The source doesn't matter. The fact is that when you have a fire coming at you, you're going to either run or you're going to stay and you're going to protect your home. Now, like I said, this was really dangerous, but it is something that can be used in certain ways to minimize the risk to the population. One of these things is utilizing the sprinkler systems. Now, something that has really bothered me about this is that the power and the ability to pump water are connected. This has obviously created a very dangerous situation, because now you can't get water to protect the homes before the fire gets there. I understand that, the power can go out and whatnot, but if we keep those two separate, then we're still going to be able to fight fires up in those areas without having to worry about whether or not there's going to be enough water. And I do also understand that hydrants were running dry because they've used so much water to fight these fires, on top of people who have used hydrants for other purposes and left them open, or whenever a house has their entire system destroyed but the water keeps flowing, that also creates issues, and they've explained a lot of this in their updates and news broadcasts. So I'm grateful for that, and I do believe that this tactic will also help. when you have a sprinkler system that's separate from the power system, you can turn on that sprinkler system, and it's not the only thing that we can use. There's a couple of tactics here that'll actually really protect neighborhoods. But this is just one. It's going to, first of all, water a whole area that's going to be protected. And it creates a fire, or it creates a break line, or a line break, a fire line break. You have moist ground where a fire can't really keep going. The embers don't light. So that's something that is really going to assist as well. The other thing that's going to assist, one of the other things that's going to assist, is utilizing large semi-truck tankers, water tankers. You can use those to, water out from each side. They have pumps, most of them have pumps on each side that can be utilized to water down the houses with massive hoses and like fire hoses, being able to further ensure that all of the housing doesn't catch with embers that are flying everywhere. And that's how fires spread. Those embers, they just keep going. They keep popping, they keep flowing. So this is another tactic. Also using those tankers on the ridge line that they have where their water is, where they have a system prepared. That's excellent. So some things they've already thought of, but other things they might not have. The other tactic that I thought of, I actually saw in a movie. It's a really good tactic. In the movie Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones, there is a scene where multiple aircraft carrying water drop water all on one place. They are dropping it to stop the lava flow on the street. And it works. It dams it up. That's great. You can use the same tactic to put out those fires, especially the fires that have incredible flames on them. Get those out. Get ones out that are just smoldering. You can drop all of that at once and, plan out a flight plan very quickly to make sure that when they're finished dumping the water, they can split off in opposite directions so that they're not crashing into each other, and they can formulate a flight path to either realign or to go pick up more water and do the whole thing again in different spots. This type of tactic can take place with like 10 different aircraft, and it would really help, especially in areas where there needs to be a fire line so that it will stop the fire from spreading, especially if you can do something like that a little ways out from where the front line is. So these are things that that would really assist in protecting our communities like this from these types of disasters, especially fire disasters. There's a lot more that we can be prepared for, and I hope that this video reaches the governor of California and the LA fire response teams to encourage them to utilize different resources to help put out these fires. All they have to do is ask. And having civilians help with this, only civilians that are willing to do so, volunteers, would actually greatly increase the chances of putting out these fires as well, especially if you follow a flight plan that's an emergency flight plan. So, that being said, may these fires be extinguished quickly.